Okay, so if we go into SolidWorks, we'll have a look at our first improvement to Weldments. I'm going to just go in and edit this structural member. And this structural member consists of a series of groups. Now you'll notice that as I click on the group, it highlights the structural members contained within that group in yellow, making it extremely clear which member belongs to which group. Also, we find a new improvement with the corner treatment tool. All of our groups that are trimming in that area are listed within one single dialog box here. And as we click on the groups, again it highlights in yellow indicating which group the member belongs to. The other nice thing about this is it's now non-modal. So when you do have lots of structural members meeting at one junction point, it can be difficult to understand exactly what the trim's doing. So now what we can do with this being non-modal is we can just have a proper look at what's going on there before accepting it. Gussets have improved within SolidWorks. So if we zoom in on this corner here, you can see here we have a gap between two structural members. This no longer matters for the gusset tool, so we'll just select the two faces as normal here and create our gusset. Like so. We can also create between a plate and a member with a radius. So if we launch the tool again, select that face there, you can see the member has rounded corners, and then select the plate face, you can see no problem creating a gusset there. We can also do between two cylindrical members. So again, we'll just launch the tool, select our two members like so, and we can see the gusset preview, and you can see you've got these control arrows which allow you to toggle the direction of the gusset. And finally with the gusset, if we just spin this around somewhat to the back side, we can create a gusset between the circular member there and that face. It doesn't preview this time, it's because we need a gusset direction, so we just select a linear edge or a sketch line to define what direction that's running in. And again, we have a control arrow where we can just toggle the direction of that to suit. Another improvement we see is to end caps. So we'll just launch the end cap tool, and from within here you'll see that we have a new option for internal end caps. So we can send our end cap inside our tube. We have an additional box that comes up here, which is your inset distance. So I'm going to inset that by 10 mil. And then we have our offset. So this is the offset to the inside of the tube. So I'm going to make that 1 mil. And then again we have our options to fillet or chamfer the corner. So I'm just going to add a fillet of 6 mil there. Press OK. Now we'll just section about the front plane, and I just want you to draw your attention to this. We have an angled tube, but as you can see the end cap has been cut normal too, so it has square faces, which is just going to reduce the need for needless machining operations on that. Another area where we see improvement is weld beads. So we can now easily create weld beads between multiple members, multiple bodies. We'll just go into the weld bead command. So we'll create our first weld bead across there, and you can see there's no problem with that at all. We can also create weld beads across parts with holes in them. So we create our weld bead there. You can see even though there is a gap, it manages to jump across and maintain those welds across the length. We can also apply a weld bead on a single body. So I think this is really useful. I can just select the path that I want it to run along there and there. And what's really good about the weld path is you can pretty much do any shape that you want, providing you can define the path. So you can actually use a sketch to define your path. So I've got one here, which is just over here, which is a fairly complex sketch. No problem at all. If we just hit the green tick, you can see it creates the weld really well. Now in terms of our weld beads, if we right click on our weld folder, we now have the option to suspend automatic rebuilds of welds, which is going to give us improved performance during the rebuild process. Once you've done that, you have to rebuild the welds manually afterwards. If we look at our cut list, you can see the bodies that we've added down the bottom. Now, in previous releases, we'd have had to go in and update our cut list every time we made a change to our model. Now we can get the system to automatically update the cut list whenever a change is made. So you never have to go in, if you've got that option switched on, and update the cut list. We actually have a whole new section within document properties for Weldments. So you see there the option to automatically create cut lists, automatically update cut lists. You can control what happens with your derived configurations. But this option at the bottom is really quite interesting. So we can rename our cut list folders with the description property value. So by default it names our cut list items cut list item 1, 2, whatever. If we turn that on, press OK, it actually uses the description property from the folder for the cut list name. So it's just a bit clearer as to what's going on there. Now if I right click on that and I go to the properties, that's the value it's using there. So whatever displays in there is going to display in your cut list. You also get now within here a quantity length automatically generated, as well as the total length. So that's calculating the entire amount of length for that specific structural member. Now you can obviously use those in your drawings or in annotations within the model. We have a favourites folder at the top of the tree. Favourites folder was introduced a couple of releases ago, and within my tree I have 4 chamfers which are used for weld prep for between the feet and the structural member uprights. Now I'm going to just take those and add them to my favourites folder. So there they are there. And the favourites folder is there for quick selection of items. So to make this process even quicker, I now have the option to create subfolders within my favourites folder. So I'll call this Weld Prep, and if I want to select all of those chamfers, I can just click on the folder to do that. The last enhancement we see here is to the Save as Bodies command. If we go to Save Bodies, within here we have a new option when creating assemblies to derive resulting parts from similar bodies or cut list. So in previous releases of SolidWorks, if you had identical bodies within your part and you save them out as assemblies, the identical bodies would be given a separate part file for each instance. Now what it does is it sees them as the same thing, and it just saves the one body out for both of them. So you'll get multiple instances of the same component within your assembly. We'll now summarise what we've seen there. So we've got enhanced group visualization. We've got an updated corner treatment dialog box, which is non-modal. We've got enhanced gusset creation, internal end cap creation, many weld bead enhancements. We can define how our cut list is named and how it updates, and we can group features in our favourites by subfolder. We can also save bodies into new assemblies. We now move on to Ed for sheet metal.